Hello, everyone, and welcome into your Twin Flame reading. Today, I'll be taking a look at the energies for Divine Feminine, Divine Masculine, and then the connection itself. And we'll be taking a look at some of the oracle cards as well, and maybe some timing cards, depending on what all comes through in the reading. So to start with, let's take a look at this crystal deck and see if there's any overall messages that are wanting to come through here for the twin flames and for this connection in general. Maybe a recommendation of a crystal to work with during your meditations. All right. Indigo Platinum, intuition, authenticity, and alignment. So this is going to be kind of that card that's the reminder about always trying to move into your most authentic self, pull things into alignment, and really work on listening to your intuition. So remember that the fears and ego and uncertainties and doubts, that's what's going to be yelling. That's that loud voice that's in your head. Your intuition whispers. So part of the idea with meditation and the practice of meditation is, how do you get that ego to quiet down? How do you get the monkey mind to silence itself for long enough to be able to listen to what your intuition is telling you? A lot of this journey and this ascension journey here is about coming into alignment with yourself. Your twin has triggered you to open up and to awaken. And this is really your own awakening journey and your own ascension journey. That's what it's about. It's not about how can you create this epic love story. That's not what it's about. It's your awakening. And a lot of that, like the main driving piece of that, is how do you live in your authentic self? How do you bring yourself into alignment? And a lot of that is tapping into your intuition and having that centered feeling. So we have our Indigo Platinum, and then intuition, authenticity, and alignment. Those are kind of your reminders as we take a look at what all messages are coming in. All right, we will start with Divine Feminine, and we'll take a look and see what all messages there are here. And I'm doing this reading on the evening of the 7th, and for May 7th, we had the Taurus new moon. And remember, that's about new projects or opportunities that are going to help improve your security and stability in your life. And because that's what's going on right now, we're going to look and see if any of those themes are starting to come through. But let's go ahead and see what all messages are coming through for Divine Feminine. In the push from the universe, we have our Two of Pentacles in reverse, currently sitting in this justice energy in the 3D. In the soul space, we have the Fool. The challenge, we have Knight of Pentacles. Advice from Spirit is the Magician, and the likely outcome is the Ace of Swords in reverse. I always forget. I put these too close together considering the next two decks are a lot bigger. All right, let's take a look at these kind of card by card or slot by slot. In the push from the universe, so this is the energy that's pushing in on Divine Feminine right now. It's this unorganized energy. There's too many balls in the air. There's too much that Divine Feminine is trying to juggle, and it's causing a lot of confusion. Sometimes I use crystals to try to prop this up if we're getting a lot of glare, and we are getting a lot of glare. There we go. All right, and we'll pop some of those up there. So right now, Divine Feminine feels like there's just too many balls in the air, and it's too many things that Divine Feminine is trying to juggle, and there's kind of this feeling of being unorganized. And I would almost describe it as drowning, and like feeling like you're drowning and not really even knowing which way is up. Like if you're underwater and you're all disoriented, it's like you don't even know which direction is up. You don't know which direction to go. And I feel like Divine Feminine has a lot of that energy pushing in right now from the universe. And how Divine Feminine is showing up in the 3D is the Justice card. And that is about trying to strive for finding that balance. It's trying to find that harmony. And sometimes it has to do with like contracts and legal things like that, but a lot of it is trying to find where that balance point is. A lot of times with divine feminine, if you're coming out of I'll call it like a chaser cycle or that type of mode, then you hit a point where it's like, oh my gosh, there needs to be balance. Why is this so one-sided? Why am I doing all of the work? And how you're starting to show up right now is more level-headed in terms of wanting to have more reciprocity, wanting to have that balance. And that's a good thing. It might feel a little foreign as you're showing up like that because it sometimes ends up feeling a little bit cold or detached. But remember, in that whole dynamic, in the runner chaser dynamic, the runner is almost like pushing the chaser away, but it's also, even if the chaser isn't, or even if the runner is not running really hard, there's almost an element of the chaser is doing so much that there's just not room for the other person to step in and do more. So for example, if let's say if you have this feeling of, oh, I'm doing 98% of the work, and how come my partner isn't doing more? They're only doing 2%. Well, if you're so busy running around doing 98%, do you want them to have to literally like shove you out of the way and push you out of the way? No, I'm doing this. Like, let me do it. You fall into those patterns where sometimes the reason the push energy is doing 98% of the work is because they're scared. They have fears that if they don't do all of that work, then the other person isn't going to step in either. So it's almost this uncertainty or feelings of unworthiness or that you're not good enough. And so then you're doing all this extra stuff. If you back off a little bit, then it allows the other person room to step in and do more of that work. How you're showing up in the soul space is the Fool. So that's taking that leap of faith. And that kind of goes along with justice. Like, how do you bring in that harmony, that balance? You have to take that leap of faith that if you scale back a little bit energetically, you're allowing your counterpart, your other self, whatever you want to call that, your twin, you're allowing them the space to fill in. You're allowing them space to step into to bring you into that energetic balance. In the challenge space, we have the Knight of Pentacles, and that is this hard work and patience. So the challenge there is to be patient, because it isn't something where if the push energy, which I'll use those words. So divine feminine is typically the chaser energy, the push energy, the enlightened or the awakened twin. And so with the patience card, know that as the awakened twin, the push energy, if you scale back a little bit, you have to be patient, because it's not going to be, hey, I scaled back 10 minutes ago, all of a sudden now, the 3D twin is blowing up my phone, coming running in, doing, 80% of the work now. It doesn't happen that fast. Making these changes, then you have to give some space and allow there to be that little bit of maybe a void as you pull back and your twin comes in. Advice from Spirit is the Magician, and that's going to be about transmuting those heavy energies, transmuting the lead into gold, because if you're so used to the one that's doing all of this work, you might all of a sudden end up starting to have these feelings of, well, what if this? What if that? You might have these fears and these doubts and these uncertainties of, oh my gosh, but what if my twin doesn't reciprocate? What if this? What if that? What if this? What if that? And you have to be able to transmute that into higher vibration energy and experience. Otherwise, you're going to end up having some issues there. But this is your advice from Spirit. Likely outcome with the Ace of Swords in reverse. there is going to be some confusion. Like I said, when you're working on making a big shift in the energy, there's going to be this sense of confusion that comes up at first, and you have to have that faith and that trust that that it will end up working out. Now, your next levels of energy, we have Ace of Pentacles in reverse, Eight of Cups, and the High Priestess. So this is the next level of energy coming in. With our Ace of Pentacles in reverse, this is about kind of some missed opportunities. Your Eight of Cups is letting go, and then the High Priestess is that inner wisdom, that higher consciousness. And this, when it's talking about some missed opportunities or failed investments, this is as it relates to resources. So remember, Pentacles, it's not just money, it's also time and energy and attention. And there's going to be, you are intentionally being urged by spirit to let some of those opportunities go by. Because if you're always so quick to rush in, let me do everything, you're really not giving your twin the opportunity to grow and step into the role that you need them to in order to bring balance into your connection. And so there is going to be that feeling of like, I have to let go of my need to control the situation. That's one of the things it seems like, especially being in the twin flame groups, it comes across, or it's, I would say I observe it, that is a lot of the challenge for divine feminine, is letting go of the control and having the faith and the trust that even if I can't see it happening, boom, 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 right here in the 3D, I have to trust that this is all happening in divine timing. I have to trust that my twin is doing their healing. They are learning their lessons. I have to trust and let go of that control. And that takes that inner wisdom, that higher consciousness, because this is that divine feminine energy. Next level of energy after that, we have our 10 of Swords, which is that kind of sense of betrayal or defeat. We have our 9 of Cups in reverse, which is some disappointment. And then Page of Pentacles, which is that loyal, consistent energy. And this is about, yes, it's going to feel foreign as you shift this dynamic, but how do you move past that? And that the way you move past it is by having that loyal, consistent energy and consistent presence within your connection. So, don't let some of this, scare you off in terms of what that energy looks like, because it will feel like, wait a second, how come this didn't happen right away? Is my twin really not committed to us, as the energy balances out in the connection. Okay, so then let's take a look. What else here do our divine feminines need to know? So we've got hold your vision and what do you need to release? Now, remember, with the hold your vision part, that is, that vision that you have of what, there's two parts to it, I guess. You need to make sure that whatever vision you have, that it's not a fairy tale vision of, and everything is going to be so easy. You have to be open to the possibility of what is it that Spirit is trying to bring in? What is the universe trying to bring in for me? So you do want to hold your vision, don't just throw away, obviously this connection, if it hasn't been coming online right now, it must just not be meant to be, and where you get disappointed and walk away. So hold that vision of having that connection, but then also look at what is it that you need to release. Like I said, a lot of times for divine feminine, it's control. It's that sense of, but I know best how to do this, and divine masculine needs to listen to me, and then we would just come into alignment. So what is it that you need to release? All right, and then from this oracle deck, let's pull for your feelings or thoughts or what you want to say to your masculine. Oh, so things for you to work on is you're getting your life in order, and like I said, a sense of like almost like, oh, I'm worried. I'm worried that, if I don't keep up with the effort, if I don't keep up with the push energy, that you're going to get bored or something else is going to happen, and you're going to be pulled in a different direction. And make sure, like, this is what you need to release, is your fear that your partner's going to get bored with you. If this is really your twin, that's the other half of your soul, like that, or that's, your soul, your one soul. So it's not like, oh, I'm just so bored with myself, I'm just going to, abandon myself. That doesn't happen. So that is what will need to be released. And for you, what you need to be working on right now is getting your life in order. So make sure that you're not focusing all of your life's energy and attention on how do I bring this connection online, because you have other things that you're here to do, other missions, whether it's your own individual mission, if it's a joint mission with your twin, you can start working on maybe parts of that while your twin is doing what they need to be doing. All right, let's take a look at what is going on for divine masculine. We'll take a read on the energy here and see what all is coming up for our masculines. These cards are almost a little too big to be able to shuffle like this. My hands aren't that big. All right. There we go. All right. So over here in the push from the universe, we have our Four of Swords in reverse. How they're currently showing up in the 3D is Six of Swords in reverse. In the 5D, in the soul space, it's Wheel of Fortune in reverse. The challenge is Two of Wands. Advice from Spirit is Nine of Swords. And then likely outcome is the Page of Pentacles in reverse. So looking at it, starting at the beginning over here with our Four of Swords in reverse, the energy that's pushing down right now on divine masculine is this sense of exhaustion and just like kind of this breakdown, this stress. They really just need a break. They need to be able to heal, but they're just so exhausted right now. And so that is the energy that the masculines in the connection are dealing with right now. I feel like the glare is really bad right now, so sorry about that. How they're showing up in the 3D, we have our Six of Swords in reverse, and that's this element of they're resisting positive change. They're feeling stuck in a rut, and even though there's instability in their situation, it's kind of like that they're comfortably uncomfortable. They've been used to being in this rut for so long that it's like very difficult for them to break out of those patterns. And it's also that energy of, better the devil you know, because that's what they're familiar with. How they're showing up right now in the soul space, we have our Wheel of Fortune in reverse. And this is a little bit of, there's some delays and kind of some misfortune, maybe like resisting some of these destined and fated things because they're just so stuck in the 3D. Now, remember that the divine masculine is the matrix twin. They're the ones that are more focused on the 3D and what is going on right in front of them. And that's, so because of the fact that that's where they are, is that they're stuck in a rut, that's a strong enough feeling that it's hard, that it's kind of clouding in the 5D. Like normally things will happen in the 5D first and then they push into the 3D. And because there's been some delays and some resistance in the 5D, that is manifesting as resistance in the 3D as well. In the challenge space, we have our Two of Wands, and that's that personal power and decision making. And sometimes it has to do with travel, but as it reads tonight for divine masculine, really the challenge is standing in that personal power and making a decision about what to do. Again, they've been comfortably uncomfortable in whatever situation, and I would say this could be a third party situation. And remember, third party doesn't necessarily mean another person. Third party could be, it's whatever energy is pulling their focus off of their connection with you. It could be that they have a very demanding job and they've poured their heart and soul and their life into their career, their job, and that's where their focus is. Could be if they have children, could be other family issues. Maybe they have a sick parent or sibling or something like that that they're caring for, and it's just like that is just taking all of their focus. And so their ability to make decisions and to prioritize being in alignment with the connection, and because that's a a soul contract. If this is your twin, you agreed to incarnate here together for a reason, and there you did that knowing that there was going to be these other distractions, and it's a matter of how do you prioritize what's really important. And that's where they're struggling right now, is sitting in this sense of personal power and making decisions. In the advice from Spirit, we have the Nine of Swords, and this is looking at like anxiety and trauma. And the advice from Spirit is look at the trauma that you've been enduring. And so it feels like they're stuck in a very toxic situation. So rather than it being, oh, I'm joyfully taking care of a sick parent type of situation, it's almost more like, because there's been anxiety and trauma, if they are caring for somebody within their family, are they doing it out of guilt? Like maybe they're being pressured that no, you must do this. That's just what our family does. You have to do this. And that there's guilt and anxiety related to that of, wait, but if I step into my own life, I'm turning my back on my family, and how dare I do that? And this is terrible. So there's a lot of guilt. And with this being in the advice from Spirit for Divine Masculine, it's a matter of saying, okay, but why am I feeling like anxious, stressed? Why am I feeling triggered about the idea of moving out of a situation that is not in alignment? Again, with this card over here about intuition, authenticity, and alignment. Are you, and this is the question for Divine Masculine, are you living in your authentic self? Are you in alignment, or are you doing things that other people have said that you should do because you feel like that's what you're supposed to do, and I have to be, a good child, a good, member of society, a good this, a good that, like, why is it triggering them? And that's the question they need to ask to be able to move on from that. The likely outcome, this Page of Pentacles in reverse, if they can't master this and if they can't resolve this, there's going to be this lack of direction, this laziness, kind of some immaturity about it of, but I don't want to keep digging. I don't want to keep asking the question why. And then, there's not going to be that natural sense of, oh, okay, so here's the next step. Underneath the deck, here's what we've got for Divine Masculine. The next level of energy coming in for our masculines. We have the Four of Pentacles in reverse and the Devil energy, and then Eight of Wands in reverse. Now remember, and if you watch the channel with the daily reads, Four of Pentacles in reverse has come up an awful lot in the last 2 months. And that is about over extending yourself, because remember, your pentacles are going to be your time, energy, and money. And so this is a matter of you're giving and giving and giving to the point of exhaustion. And that's that devil energy that's pushing on you. It's somebody or some other situation is pushing down on the Divine Masculine to say, no, you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to keep giving. And with that, it's also this Eight of Wands in reverse, which is they're, missing some opportunities to overcome these obstacles because there's so much guilt kind of laced in there. Now, if, and I said that third party energy doesn't necessarily have to mean another person. For some twins, this will be a case where the divine masculine is in a relationship with somebody else. Especially if they're married, there could be huge amounts of guilt and stress that are all laced into this, where the devil energy is their current partner is saying, no, you have to keep giving. You have to keep showing up. You need to be here. This is what you need to do. And remember, in a twin flame situation, again, the karmic partners or other soul contracts are there to teach a lesson. And that lesson is, it may be to stand up for themselves and say, no, I'm not doing it to be a greedy, selfish jerk, but, kind of the whole thing of, how do I live in my authenticity? How do I align myself? And if that scenario is not in alignment with their highest good, how do you, it's called like conscious uncoupling. How do you separate from that? So that's what's going on with divine masculine, is trying to figure that out, trying to break free from that devil energy. The next level of energy coming in after that, we have 10 of Pentacles in reverse, 3 of Cups in reverse, 5 of Wands in reverse. With our 10 of Pentacles in reverse, that's some domestic instability, and that could be for the twins in the scenario where the masculine is in a committed relationship or in a long-term relationship or marriage with somebody else. This is looking like next levels of energy coming in have to do with domestic instability, having this, I'll call it like lonely, reclusive type of energy. This also has to do with overindulgence. And so there could be, for some of them, over drinking could be an issue in some of those scenarios, but then finding that resolution, finding that peace, and, what is it that needs to be overcome? What is the solution to that? Let's pull a timing card to see if there's any indication as to when divine masculine comes to this solution here. So once you can forgive them. Now, if you're the divine feminine watching this, this is also a matter of, within the connection itself, are you holding this scenario over their head? Are you resentful of them because they're in this situation? So there may be a message to you, because a lot of times divine feminine is the one that's watching tarot, a message to you that you need to forgive them. But then this is also a message that the divine masculine needs to forgive their partner, and not make it antagonistic, but like I said, kind of that conscious uncoupling of, this is not in our highest good, if that's what the situation is, and proceeding from there. So let's take a look for divine masculine. Let's pull prosperity lies ahead. New moon in Taurus. This is actually today's energy. So prosperity lies ahead for divine masculine, and work through your fears. New moon in Scorpio, which would be later this year. But both of these cards. Oh, and I'm pointing to them and I'm realizing that they are off screen. These were the two cards that were pulled for divine masculine here. This one is the new moon in Taurus, prosperity lies ahead. New moon in Scorpio, work through your fears. And new moon, remember, is about sowing seeds of, or planting the seeds of what is it that you want to achieve? Where is it that you want to go? And when it's talked about prosperity lies ahead, you have to make those, like divine masculine needs to be making some of those decisions now, working through, even if it's baby steps. How do they work through the baby steps there? Okay. And this would be divine masculine's message to you. These were the two that jumped out. So this, I didn't mean what I said. They may have said something in haste. Um, and then with this one of you bring out you bring out the worst of me. I think there's the way that it's reading is there's some frustration where they feel like they're being pressured. Remember in the divine feminine reading, I was saying that one of the things that oftentimes divine feminine um, struggles with is that need to control the situation. And here I want to dictate the timing. And that sometimes can trigger, it may trigger your divine masculine because it feels like you're pressuring them and that you don't accept them for where they are on their journey. Let's pull another one because those were the jump cards. There's another one. I'm planning for a future with you. So they do want that. It's just a matter of, you know, needing to be patient. And like I was talking about with the divine feminine reading, of needing to work on what is your own mission or pieces of your joint mission and not putting that pressure, because as you put that pressure on, energetically, when you push, it's going to create that tension within the masculine. So one of the things, remember when we were looking down here at what is the next levels of energy, and it's this sense of betrayal and exhaustion. And with our 9 of Cups in reverse was that disappointment, kind of feeling unfulfilled. And that sort of energy, that creeps up with this, where, if you're pushing your masculine, they may end up saying things they don't mean. And, if they feel like they have to respond to you, they may end up feeling like, well, great, you're bringing out the worst in me because, you're pressuring me and I feel like I have to give you an answer. And, so they're very much in a 3D mentality right now. And so that's kind of that reminder that as the awakened twin, you need to focus on that energy on yourself and on moving forward and being high vibe. And that will help alleviate some of the feelings of pressure on your divine masculine. All right, now let's take a look at the connection in general and see what all messages are wanting to come through for the connection itself. Since it looks like this might be, you might be at an interesting point in your connection where there's going to be some transitions happening, but overall it has a good feel to it, even if it seems like this is a negative or a kind of a pessimistic type of view of interesting, the one that came up, Knight of Wands in reverse, Hanuman. Even though it may seem like, and we'll come back to this in a second, it may seem like, oh, this is a tough thing. It's not all hearts and flowers and roses right now. It's actually it's good because it's forcing divine feminine is in that space where they're being forced to do some of this work, some of this healing work, and bringing that energy back to themselves to allow the masculine some time and space to be able to work on some of this healing that needs to happen, work on sorting things out in their life, because they are planning on a future with you. They just need to figure out how to get to that. And I remember I was watching another channel on YouTube that I like to watch her reads. Ace of Wands jumped out for twin flames as well, and she had her twin on there, and he was talking about like that one of his frustrations was that there's lessons that he needed to learn, and he felt like she was just trying to push him through it, like, well, but I know what you need to do, and this is what you need to do. And she was saying, I didn't realize that that's how it was coming across, but yes, everybody needs to learn their lessons in their own time. So this is for the connection in general. We'll come back to those. The push from the universe right now is the Hanged Man. How the connection is showing up in the 3D is Five of Swords. How it's showing up in the soul space is Ten of Cups. In the challenge space for the connection is the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, which is funny because that was up here for Divine Masculine. Advice from Spirit for the connection in general is the King of Pentacles in reverse, and then likely outcome is the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. Oops, trying to pull these out of here without knocking everything off. All right, we'll go through these. The cards that were jumping out in terms of with the connection, your Ace of Wands is going to be that excitement, that creativity, and the new beginnings. With your Knight of Wands in reverse, that's a little bit of this like anger and recklessness, and those two can kind of feed off of each other. That with this connection, if there's a little bit of this recklessness, like sometimes there almost needs to be like an outburst. If there's kind of been these tensions building up within the connection itself, sometimes like an outburst needs to happen in order to bring in that new beginning and to almost like that pressure valve. All right, so over here for the connection, the push from the universe right now, this Hanged Man, it's this kind of self-imposed sense where the connection is kind of pondering change and how do you adjust and kind of have this sense of like rebirth and improvement. How can we make this relationship stronger? So there's a little bit of almost like a little bit of a step back because it's this self-imposed and it's that pondering, but that's the energy that is pushing down on the connection of how do you look at it from a different perspective? How can you, hang upside down and see things a little different to be able to make this stronger? How it's showing up how the connection is showing up right now is there's some dishonesty, frankly, that's happening. And it sometimes has this like ruthless energy about it or ambitious energy. And so that's kind of like this wanting to push, the connection is wanting to push forward, but there is some dishonesty that's happening. And it could be, however it is within the communications. I'm picking up on like throat chakra blocks that, both parties maybe just need to communicate more openly, like they're not necessarily being honest about their feelings, frustrations, thoughts, especially if one of the partners is trying to work through another situation. They may not be being totally honest about that. The I'll call it more available partner might not be being honest with the frustrations they're feeling. So there is a little bit of dishonesty that's happening within the connection. But in the soul space, this 10 of Cups energy, that's that really beautiful harmony, happiness, bliss. A lot of readers have like the 10 of Cups is kind of like their ultimate twin flame reunion card, so like that's happening in the soul space. So things are lining up in the soul space. It's just how it's pushing out into the 3D is not quite cleared up yet. In terms of the challenge for the connection is the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. And that was coming up as where the Divine Masculine is in their soul space, which is that sense of kind of some setbacks and some bad luck, timing issues. And so that's showing up as the challenge is how does the connection deal with having these delays, having some of these setbacks coming in. So that's going to be a challenge for the connection. Then advice from Spirit with this King of Pentacles in reverse is it's two. In the reverse, the King of Pentacles is kind of that misuse of power. So it's not that that Spirit is advising the connection to misuse their power, but there is a misuse of power that's keeping the connection from coming fully online in the 3D. And so advice from spirit would be, how do you reconcile that? And this is, Aries, and I think that's Taurus. And it could be that there's a misuse of power that's happening in the 3D connection. If the divine masculine is married, it could be an Aries and a Taurus, and that there's misuse of power that's keeping divine masculine from being able to step into alignment with this connection. Likely outcome here with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse is that's kind of this like greedy, selfish energy. And if this misuse of power is not addressed, it's going to turn into this envious, like selfish type of energy within the connection. So that's kind of as a cautionary tone or statement that this needs to, some of these setbacks might be because if this is a third party scenario, that the other partner is delaying it and is causing some issues there. So I will pull this is from the Romance Oracle deck, and this is about the connection in general. The others were messages specifically from one partner to the other. This is about the connection. Free yourself. It's time to take back control of your life. And that, as it relates to the connection, if the connection has been, I would say, delayed or kept offline because of other outside factors, like I said, if the masculine is already in another relationship, the connection is saying to free itself from those shackles. It's also about the connection needing to free itself from worries of outside impressions, or freeing itself from saying this is what a good relationship should look like. Therefore, we have to try to force the connection to sit in a box that somebody else has determined. So it's a matter of the connection needs to free itself from any outside structures or societal implications or expectations of what this structure looks like, and the connection needs to let itself grow in whatever direction it's being called to grow in. All right. So we have Holy Grail Code, receive the gift. Oh, there were two of them in here. Reunion, reconciling differences, and one with self, blossoming. So this is from the Twin Flame Oracle deck. And this is kind of like that, almost like that Ace of Cups energy, since there's the one single cup in there, which is about creativity and inspiration and love. So receiving that gift of love and being able to be in reunion with both twins committed and coming online in the 3D. And then this one with self, this blossoming, this is about each of the individual twins really finding their own voice and finding their own alignment. How can the twins come into alignment, authenticity, and really stand in their own truth? That's what this period is about, like with North Node and Aries, is really about being unapologetically you and standing in your truth and putting your own needs first, not in a jerky, selfish way, but in a healthy way of saying, no, I need to put my oxygen mask on before I try to help everybody else. So that is kind of that energy that's coming through. One with self is also about each of the individual twins balancing their own masculine and feminine energies. If you're out of balance internally, the solution isn't to bring in another person to balance you. You need to figure out how to balance yourself. And when both partners can figure out how to balance themselves, then they can sit in that shared energetic field that's in balance, because they're not coming together from a lack mentality. They're both coming together from a healed, balanced perspective. And that's what's going to keep this reunion in play, if both partners are energetically balanced. So I hope that you found today's message to be helpful, but as always, take only what resonates and leave the rest. So this is, tapping into a certain set of, or, a certain grouping of twins within the collective. So with any of these twin flame readings, it's not that it applies to absolutely every single set of twins out there, but it'll apply to certain twins in certain waves. So if this story is matching up with what you're seeing in your twin flame connection, then there is likely a message here for you. But like I said, as always, take only what resonates and leave the rest. And make sure you hit the subscribe and notification bell if you want to be alerted as to when other new videos are posting to the channel. So I usually try to do a twin flame reading once a week, and then also doing some other different types of readings like message from your person, pick a pile, things like that. So I wish you peace and joy along your journey. Until next time.